I lost the guy that I loved and cared about to red pill content. Before he started watching this content, he was a sweet, nice man who treated me well and was charismatic, funny. And the moment he started watching this content, he completely changed. He started calling women bitches, whores, skanks. He became very, very angry almost all the time. And then eventually he ended things with me because he thought I was using him for money. Now, granted, there was one time where I did make a joke about how I wanted an old guy to take care of me, and I quickly regretted it and said I was sorry. But I still cared about him. I would drive 30 minutes every day to see him. Like, it wasn't just about the money. Because he's watching all this content, he thinks that all these women are trying to use him and all that stuff. And so he had a loving girl that cared about him and loved him and, like, would stick by his side through anything. And then he eventually said this to me, and this was the final straw. Now, when I first started talking to him, not that it mattered, but he was over 270 pounds when I started talking to him. I did not care about his size. He then lost weight and then started fat shaming everyone around him. And today, actually, he said this to me. He called me a broke skank and then said that I would ease back on the food. Your stomach's getting a little big. And I've never, my whole life, had a man speak to me like that. And here I was the week before, going out, and I was gonna go buy him a present for his birthday. And for him to turn around and call the girl that cared about him and loved him a skank and fat, when he's like one of the only guys that I've been with. In the beginning, it was totally opposite. He would compliment me, tell me how pretty I was, and laugh and make jokes, and like, just this content, it just ruined him. And then I went on his page before we unfollowed each other, and I saw he was reposting like Andrew Tate and like David Goggins, and like almost all of his reposts were that. And then that's how I found out that he was in this red pill rabbit hole, and now I connected the dots.
I've been trying to tell this story so many times, and I've re-recorded it so many times because I just can't seem to get my fucking thoughts together. But this is going to be a story time about how I basically just realized that my ex is a groyper, or like into those incel far right-wing online forums. And he was throughout a relationship, and I'm just now putting all of these pieces together. And I'm like kind of freaking out inside. I'm smiling right now, but I hope you know, like, I'm not happy about this. I'm actually like panicking a little bit because so many things that didn't make sense before are making so much sense. So a little bit of background. We met in 2015, freshman year of college. I'm going to try to tell this story as smoothly as possible, but my thoughts are all over the place. At 2015, freshman year of college, I didn't know him before college. A lot of people that were from his same city knew him before college and knew him in high school. He was known in high school for getting into a lot of trouble because he was very proficient at software engineering, like coding. He was a hacker, like literal hacker. Like, he was very good at hacking people's computers, hacking people's stuff, very chronically online, like very chronically into like these online gaming forums, was like swatting people, like doing bomb threats on people, like I said, hacking people, all kinds of like actual crimes. Got in trouble for like hacking into somebody's credit card and doing credit card fraud. He got expelled from school for doing a bomb threat on the school, and then everybody made like memes that said like free blank his name. It was a whole thing, basically. I was young, I was fresh into college, and we were kind of like in the same circle of friends, but I didn't know about any of that. Like, I didn't know about any of that side of like the world, that there were like people on forums that were like doing things like that. So I'm like hearing these stories and I'm like, that's fucking crazy. And I'm just like laughing about it because I'm 18 and I'm a teenager, and this was 2015. Like, nobody took anything seriously back then. Hence people like making memes about it. Like, nobody would do that now. People would be like, what the fuck? Like, he was kind of like an introverted extrovert, might I say. Like, he was very heavily online, very chronically online, but he was also like friends with everybody and like was always around. So like we were just close friends. Like, and honestly, I didn't really know anything about his online life, but I know that he was heavily online. So fast forward through college, he ended up developing a very serious drug problem with a very serious drug. So he goes to rehab. I remained friends with him through that, but we kind of drifted apart through his rehab experience. But we ended up reconnecting later on, like years later. So this would have been like a few years ago. Now, when we reconnected, he had changed a lot. He had cleaned up. He got sober. He was like into actual hobbies now. He just like really had seemed like he was better, I guess. And like he really opened up to me and said that like he had feelings for me for years, and you know, I had started to develop feelings for him at this point. So we began a relationship, and fast forward into a relationship, we end up moving in together. For the longest time at this point, I looked back and I thought that the downfall of our relationship was us moving in together, and us just not being like aligned. But now I'm realizing it has a lot to do with the like online spaces and ideology that he was involved in that I didn't even realize that he was involved in until now. But our relationship started off really great. He treated me basically like he worshiped the ground that I walked on. And then we started fighting. Start saying things about my appearance. I was kind of like alternative at this point, and he would start saying things about like how nobody was going to take me seriously and that he was going to be embarrassed to bring me around his family. Which like this was like a slow accumulation of things. And he would just start negging me about my body, saying that like I looked too skinny and that like I should start working out and I should start eating more. And then he would say he was just encouraging me, but like it made me feel like shit, and it like clearly wasn't encouragement. So I would get upset, and then we would fight about the fact that I was upset that he said that. He started introducing ideas to me about like being traditional and having a traditional relationship. So he basically started training me. So he would be like, you never cook for me. Like, I wish you would cook for me. And so I would like cook some things for him. But I'd be like, I don't like when you like demand that I cook for you, because then it feels like you're like telling me to cook for you and I'm not your wife. I'm not your little housemaid, you know, like I'm just your girlfriend and we live together. Like this isn't, but he would act like I wasn't doing my part as a woman by like cooking for him. And he would like be like, I look at my friends' girlfriends and they cook for them and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's not like he was paying for us to live there. We split the rent. Like, it's not my job to cook for you. He would do that about the laundry. Like, he would be like, like, I would end up be doing his laundry. And then I started to get resentful because he just like expected me to like take care of him basically and do all these chores. And around this time, I started noticing that he got like really into like, creatine and kratom, and he got really into like the gym. Like he was into the gym before this, but he got super into the gym. He got super into bulking. He started to like care a lot about like the way his like beard was groomed. And I know you guys are gonna think like, oh, he's just like taking care of himself, like that's better. But no, like it started to become obsessive. And then I could tell that through this process he started looking down on me. And at this point in our relationship, I was really depressed, and I was basically in fight or flight all the time. I had a lot of anxiety because just of the constant like negging and negativity, and I just felt like shit about myself. And so he ended up resenting me for that, even though the reason I felt that way was like because I was how I was being treated in the relationship. So I felt no desire to like I just felt like shit. And at this point in our relationship too, I realized that he was still very heavily online, super, super secretive about his phone. And he had like apps that I had never heard of before that were like chat apps or whatever. But I never got to like go through it because he also said that like, because I was asking to like see his phone because I was suspicious that I was being controlling. And so I felt like I would be controlling by going through his phone. He had me like super brainwashed, you have to understand. But I definitely know that he was still super heavily on Discord and on other Twitch and other like online spaces. And he was like always on Reddit. He was always on his phone, like always reading some shit on his phone. Okay, like always. And he never let me see what it was that he was reading. I want to talk about a specific time. At this point, I had been begging this man to spend time with me. He basically was telling me that I wasn't worth spending time with because I wasn't doing enough for him. So at this point, I had been begging him to love me and begging him to spend time with me. I know you're going to say, stand up, girl. I was in a bad relationship, okay? But had been begging him to spend time with me and watch a movie with me, anything. He refused. One night, he comes to me and he says, babe, I want to watch this documentary with you. I was so excited, okay? Because I was like, finally, he wants to watch something with me and he wants to spend time with me. So I'm just giddy. I'm like, yes, okay, let's watch it. And he's smiling ear to ear. He sees how excited I am to watch this documentary with him. So he puts it on and he's grinning ear to ear. And I'm like, wow, he's really excited to spend time with me. I'll tell you right now, that's not why he was excited to watch it. So here's part 2. This is part 2 of my story time of how I figured out that my ex was a groiper or heavily into those crazy right-wing incel online forums throughout our relationship. I also want to mention that he was consuming a lot of content that I didn't fucking like. Like, he was always listening to like some weird white male podcasts, always watching like these weird like super masculine YouTubers. Just like, it's blatant, guys. Like, it's blatant. He also started making like really offensive jokes. They started off pretty mild, but then they got really bad. Like, he started making sexist jokes and I asked him to stop. I would get really upset, which he thought was hilarious. He would call me mean names. He would call me like manly names. He would call me a bitch. He would call me the C word. And then he started making like super racist jokes and just really, really offensive jokes. And because it bothered me so much and because I would get so mad at him and so upset, he just like loved that even more. Off talking about us watching a documentary that he was really, really excited to put on for us, because he really wanted me to see this documentary and he thinks that I would really love it, right? By the way, he knows 100% he knew my politics. Like, he knew that I was not right-wing in the slightest. Never have been, never will be. So just want to preface that with this. So he puts this documentary on for me and it starts and I'm watching it and it starts off really normal. They're talking, I don't even remember exactly how it starts off, but then it starts to get a little bit weird. Like, they start saying some things that just seem a little questionable. But then they would like sandwich that between a lot of things that are true and like are factual. So then I'm like, this is weird. Like, what am I watching? They started saying things about the Jews. And I thought that was weird that they kept saying the Jews. I'm like, nobody, like, people don't say that. That's kind of like weirdly offensive, the way they're like referring to them. And then like they started saying that the Jews like control the entire world. And they started saying that like the Jews control America and they like are a dictatorship over everybody. And it started to get like really, really anti-Semitic. And like, as this is happening, as I'm making these realizations, like, as things are getting weird, I would say to him, I'd be like, that's weird. Why are they saying the Jews? And he'd just be like, I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. Let's keep watching. And then, like, they started saying weirder and weirder shit. And it started to become, like, they started speaking less about, like, real historical shit that happened and started just focusing really heavily on Jewish people and how, like, they're taking over the world. And I was like, this is weird. Like, I finally was like, this, like, we were only like 15 minutes in at this point. And I was like, babe, this propaganda, like we're watching propaganda right now. Like, that's what this feels. And he played completely dumb. He was like, what? I don't think so. Let's keep watching. And I'm like, no, I don't want to watch this. Like, this feels like propaganda. Like, this feels like anti-Jewish propaganda that we're watching right now. And he's like, I think it's interesting. I don't see what you're seeing. Like, I don't understand what you mean. And I realized by the end of, I started to realize that he was fucking with me. But before this, I'm like, who told you to watch this? Like, you said that somebody recommended this to you? And he's like, oh, my friend. Like, my friend told me to watch it. And I'm like, what the fuck friend would tell you to watch this? Like, this is literal propaganda, dude. Like, I'm telling you, this is propaganda. And at this point, I still didn't realize, like, I thought he just truly didn't realize that it was propaganda. And he was like, just my friend, like, my friend on Twitter. And I was like, what friend? Like, somebody online, like, told you to watch this documentary? And he's like, yeah, I like it. I want to watch it. And then I realized that, like, he's still grinning. And then I realized this was a fucking joke to him. I realized that he was playing a joke. The joke was me. Like, the joke was me. He was playing this for me, to see if he could get me to, like, fall for the propaganda, I guess. And, like, this was pleasing to him to, like, see if I was stupid enough to fall for this propaganda. But he was also, like, thoroughly entertained by the media itself. That's genuinely what I think. So we got in a huge fight over that. It was like, this is fucked up. Why are you consuming this media? And why are you making a joke out of trying to... I basically called him out. I was like, you're trying to, like, see if you can convince me of this. And he completely played dumb. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But, like, was laughing at me. And I'm realizing now, like, I'm connecting the dots. Like, it wasn't just this one friend. Like, at the time, I'm like really concerned. I'm like, you need to stop talking to this person. Like, this person is fucked up. And he's like, it's my friend, blah blah blah. Like, they didn't know, blah blah blah. They didn't know. And I'm realizing now that, like, it wasn't just he had a fucked up friend online. Like, I'm realizing now that all of these different things, the bulking, the protein, the, like, being obsessive about the looks maxing, right? Trying to indoctrinate me, trying to train me basically to be a trad wife, a stay-at-home wife, a stay-at-home girlfriend. Same type of shit that you see on those forums. Being heavily online, being a software engineer, being super into hacking, having a history of fraud, hacking, being active in different weird online forums. The fucking anti-Semitic propaganda and groups that he was in, with most likely lots of fucking people in these groups sharing these ideas, sharing this media. And I realized, like, that's another huge reason why he absolutely hated me. Like, as our relationship progressed and as these other behaviors started increasing and these other things started coming to light, he became so cruel to me and just hating me. He was using textbook, like, manipulation, negging, abuse tactics that, like, people are sharing on those websites, like how to hate women, how to, like, target women, basically. All of these things that I was just thinking, like, what was wrong with him? Like, why was this happening? Like, all of these things are connected now. Like, they're all connected. Like, I thought he was just a narcissist, but he was, but it all goes back to, like, he was active on these forums. And this is the scariest part, is, like, now looking at the history, the trajectory, like, looking at the things that he was doing, like, back in high school, he has been involved in these forums since, like, the early 2010s. Us, high school, 14 years old, when he got in trouble for the shit he was getting in trouble with, that would have been, like, 2011, okay? Like, these forums go deep. They go back years and years, probably farther than that. Like, and I didn't even realize, like, I'm just realizing this now. There's probably gonna be, like, a lot more things that I remember, and, like, go back and add, or clarify or whatever, but I'm panicked. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. But yeah, just be aware, like, keep your eyes open, like, be aware of the people that you have around you and that you're in relationships with. I feel like my eyes have been open to so many things recently, and oh, I have the chills. But yeah, be safe out there, guys. You know what's crazy? It just keeps getting fucking worse, dude. Like, now it's confirmed for me, because I just saw a video of this girl talking about, like, meme culture in those forums and, like, the types of memes that they share and the meme formats and stuff. And, like, I almost want to cry right now. She was talking about how, like, Pepe the Frog, that's, like, a big alt-right incel symbol, like, for, like, hateful, horrible shit. Like, they use that. Like, it's become an alt-right symbol. And my ex used to send me Pepe memes all the time. All the time. He loved Pepe. And I would send Pepe memes back. And he would just die laughing, like giggling, cackling, and I would be cracking up too, because I just thought we were being like silly, goofy, and it was just something stupid, and like I thought we were literally just like laughing at dumb, like pointless memes. And it turns out he was laughing at me. He was sending me racist symbols, alt-right symbols, and laughing at me for sending them back, laughing because I didn't know what it meant to him. I didn't know the other meaning to it. So, unrelated, but he was also super into the fucking carnivore diet. Like, he started going on this diet where all he ate was beef and rice. And that's another thing that girl said in her video. It's like, they're all about, like, being manly, so they, like, talk about the carnivore diet. I'm just, like, astounded right now. I'm, like, losing sleep. I need to go to bed. I want to say this, too. I don't feel like this is really relevant to, like, the subject of the video, where I'm talking about, like, reasons why I realized that my ex was a groyper. But because, like, I did mention our relationship, and I did, like, talk about context and talk about his background and stuff, I'm not trying to just, like, shit on people, and I'm also not trying to, like, sit here and pretend like I was, like, a perfect angel in our relationship, because I was not. I was dealing with a lot of mental health issues, baby. Like, I was fighting with him. Like, I was very reactive. I definitely was not perfect in that relationship, so I just want to say that. I was upset all the time through our relationship. Like, I was always upset. We were always fighting. I was always fighting with him. I've learned through therapy that, like, a lot of what I was experiencing and the reason why I was, like, so upset all the time and just, like, reactive and just, like, crazy was because, like, I was being played with. Like, my mind was being played with. I'm not, like, blaming it all on that. I'm not using that as an excuse, but that is my experience. But at the end of the day, like, I was not perfect in that relationship, and I'm not trying to imply that I was perfect in that relationship. I am simply just sharing my experience. I didn't even share my full experience. I'm really just sharing what I feel like was relevant to why I feel like he is 100% or was 100% a groyper. I don't talk to him anymore. But yeah, I just wanted to address that I was not perfect in the slightest in that relationship. I was a crazy ass bitch at times. If you've been in that kind of, like, high stress, high anxiety relationship, you understand where I'm coming from. But yeah, just wanted to add that.
What is a groyper? The groyper army is like the extreme and increasingly violent arm of the political right. I thought that was MAGA. The groypers make MAGA look like Democrats. Okay, but they're fringe and not something that we need to worry about, right? No, there are several reasons to be aware of this group that is growing in power. For one, it's looking increasingly likely that the person that shot Charlie Kirk was somehow affiliated with the groyper army. Wait, You're saying that the right is killing people on the right? Like, why would they do that? The leader of the group is a man named Nick Fuentes. The group uses military language like generals, and Nick has also voluntarily compared himself to this shithead from Germany in the 1940s and 50s. Are these the same guys that brag about how much they crank it to adult content? No, you're thinking of Gooners. Right. Nick Fuentes was a big fan of the MAGA movement, which was more than likely a version of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, because Nick really hates non-whites, non-Christians, and liberals. You said he was a fan? A few months ago, Nick started complaining a lot about how the MAGA movement was essentially a giant grift. So he's on our side. I think that he thinks it's a grift because it wasn't extreme enough. He was promised more racism. There's a lot of racism. Yep. Now, Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk were both focused on indoctrinating young adults and children, so Nick saw Charlie as a bit of a rival. Nick's radicalization is far worse though, right? Far worse. Now, we shouldn't be praising Kirk. He was a dishonest debater that uses pedantry and confusing language to trick young adults into thinking that he was skilled and an honest interlocutor, when he wasn't. He caused a lot of harm by pushing racism and bigotry. But when you say that Charlie's a Yahtzee, you're stopping short of where Nick is. Bingo. So Nick Fuentes is increasingly disenfranchised with the MAGA movement. He's watching Charlie Kirk become massively successful with Turning Point, so Nick had Kirk killed. No. There's no evidence to suggest that Nick directly called for this. But there is evidence coming out that strongly suggests Charlie Kirk's shooter was at least tangentially connected to the Groyper army. What does adult content have to do with Charlie Kirk? Those are Gooners. Groypers follow Nick Fuentes. Right. Isn't the shooter's whole family like major Trump supporters? Like, why would he do that to someone that Trump loves? This is a faction of the right who happen to think that Charlie Kirk wasn't extreme enough. And with there being a power vacuum now in the youth indoctrination space, it is likely that Nick Fuentes will benefit in some way, because he's still pretty fringe. A few years ago, yeah, a lot of people probably would have lost their jobs simply by being associated with Nick Fuentes, but now they're just operating out in the open. They're watching adult content in public? Isn't that illegal? Those are Gooners. I can't keep track. I mean, it's part of the pipeline.
Start out, you're just like, hey, we just want to be better with dating. We just want better social skills, right? And then before you know it, you're talking about like women are dogs and you need to train them. When I was 17, I fell down the red pill pipeline and I managed to get myself out about 5 years later. The term red pill comes from the movie The Matrix. So it's basically saying that you have a truth or knowledge no one else seems to have. They would say that society is gynocentric, which means that society caters to women, that women only want the top 20% of guys. And this isn't true. I would say at 17, I was socially awkward, very introverted. I felt I was ugly in high school. So I went on YouTube and looked up tips regarding dating and women. It eventually led me down this deep, dark hole. It was able to kind of take the weight of blame off of myself. Like, actually, women are the ones in control. You're actually the victim in this situation. It's a very appealing thing to be the victim. I didn't view it as like, I've got to put them down type of thing. Like, it was saying that, hey, we understand why you feel bad. If you just learn what we have to give you, you'll be the one winning here soon. Before you know it, you're commenting, you're reading more of it, but at the same time, you're distrustful of the women around you. You're distrustful of people around you because you think they don't know what you know. It just degrades your own mental health. You start, without even realizing it, isolating yourself. I actually felt really embarrassed if people caught me, which kind of is a telltale sign that's probably you should be watching it. I first started questioning my beliefs when I went through a breakup. Me and a friend of mine, we went to a cabin party. I started crying in front of one of the girls who I liked there. This girl responded rather with like shame and disgust that the red pill told me that they would react. She was actually like really kind about it. And that kind of made me think, what if I'm wrong? And then afterwards, I was bar hopping with a group of guys, and a few of them were red pilled. It was the first time actually meeting other red pill guys, and I could just kind of see how bitter and angry they were. There was this one guy, and he was trying to do pickup techniques. It was obvious that the girls weren't liking it at all, but he kept getting more and more aggressive. I'm like, is this how I see the world? And it kind of disgusted me. I feel very guilty and ashamed because it's just like, you really thought that, man? Like, this is totally unnuanced. The reason I say it's compared to a cult, they don't like outsiders. They don't like outside thought. A lot of the comments started also sounding the same too. There was no original thought. There's a lot of, you guys make me feel like I'm at home, complaining about women, repeal the 19th. That's the amendment that allows women to vote. There was a lot of rage. I have a mom, I have women friends, so it would be kind of like, I don't want to take away their rights. And then over time they got really disgusting. I don't feel comfortable saying some of the other stuff I saw, just vile, misogynistic comments. That was another thing that helped me realize my beliefs in the red pill were wrong. When I first started to decide to actively stop watching red pill content, it was like flooding my feed. I would just click not interested, not interested. But regardless, they just kept appearing over and over. So yeah, it took me roughly about a year. I'm on ex-red pill forums to help other people out like I would have helped me out. Helping others too is kind of maybe a way of like rectifying it. So something I wish that someone would told me when I was in the red pill, not everyone who tells you that you're right is your friend. I feel like content creators in the red pill, they don't believe sincerely what they say and they're only saying it to get money and time out of you. Feminism is not bad. It's required in today's society. Also, men and women have different preferences and sometimes you won't meet them. That's nothing personal. I think community is the solution for this. The isolation and self-involved nature of these is what's leading people down these rabbit holes. There are still lots of men, especially young men, who are being introduced to these philosophies. And if I can avoid anyone from feeling the loneliness and rage and isolation I felt when I was that young, that's a win.